What's going on, FA Nation? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NFL DFS podcast and live stream recording here for Week 15 of the NFL season. Howard, we've hit the point of the year where the NFL is going to be giving us some Saturday slates here. So we got a 3-game Saturday. We have a 10-game Sunday. We're going to discuss both of these slates here this week on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think, the fun thing about a Saturday slate, it's just 3 games. I don't play cash games on a short slate like that. Only because there's so much player overlap that it increases the pay lines. And, I prefer to have a slate like a Saturday slate and just have some fun with it. Play some GPP lineups and just kind of, bang through it that way. I think that's the way to do it. And for those of you who are listening right now, John and I are recording on Friday, afternoon Eastern time, morning here on the West Coast. And I've got the playbook, which I will hopefully have out in soon enough. That will be free.
Yep.
You don't have to pay anything for it. You don't have to even be a subscriber. You'll just get that Saturday playbook for free, and then take it for a spin, have some fun, play some GPP tournaments, make a little bit of money, and then come back and then you subscribe. FantasyAlarm.com/holiday. Use that promo code HOLIDAY for 20% off the annual subscription price. And you get a little holiday swag bag, a little t-shirt, little pint glass, little sticker.
Yep.
Fun stuff there.
Join us for the rest of the season. If your regular fantasy football seasons are already over, and then come win some money. Win back those buy-ins, those entry fees for your season-long leagues with some DFS here. So, like you said, we got 3 games here, so there's not going to be a lot to talk about in terms of positional depth. But we'll break it down like we usually do, starting at the quarterback position. I'm just going to rattle off the quarterbacks, Howard. You tell me, which ones you're prioritizing in your lineups. We got Josh Allen at home against Miami. We got Tua on the road against Buffalo. Deshaun Watson at home against Baltimore. Kirk Cousins at home against the Colts. Tyler Huntley on the road against Cleveland. Matt Ryan on the road against Minnesota. Those are your 6 starting quarterbacks for this slate. Miami, Buffalo, we're going to have some weather problems here. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy. A little bit of wind, but not too bad. But definitely something that could be impacting the quarterbacks in this game as well.
I think the weather will impact a little bit. The weather will impact Tua a lot more than it's going to impact Josh Allen. Allen's used to this right now. We've seen him play in the snow. He's got that high rushing yard upside of his own. Listen, I think that this matchup is rock solid for Buffalo's passing game. I don't think that Miami's cover corners or safeties are really that good. So, I'm not expecting there's going to be snow, so it's just all about Devin Singletary and Raheem Mostert. No, I think Josh Allen definitely worth the pay up. And get some bills into your lineups. I have interest in Josh Allen. Obviously, again, that rushing upside kind of helps it along. So he doesn't have to throw for 250 to 300 yards. He can throw for 220 yards and a touchdown and still run 2 of them in. So I'm good there. I like him. I like what we've seen out of Deshaun Watson. I think that this is It's a tough matchup. Baltimore's got a very, very good defense. Their front 7 is rock solid. Adding Roquan Smith makes it difficult, but I think we've seen good growth game to game for Deshaun Watson. He's got rock solid receivers in Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he's got a great tight end in David Njoku. So I like Deshaun Watson here as well. I like Tyler Huntley as a pay down. If you're really looking to go cheap, and you can do that, he's not going to throw for a ton of yards, but he does have some rushing some rushing upside as well. And we all know that Cleveland's defense is basically kind of a run funnel. You just kind of bang it up the middle, so you know that Huntley's going to get his work there. And then Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk Cousins. I think that the injuries to Indianapolis secondary right now, because Faison and Kenny Moore are both going to be out. Yeah, they're going to miss this game here. And I think that we're going to see a lot of Jonathan Taylor going up against Minnesota. I think it's going to kind of push the Vikings into possibly a little bit more of a pass-friendly thing. So if I'm going to rank them as far as my favorite to least favorite, I'll go with Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, and then Tyler Huntley.
Okay. You left off Matt Ryan there.
Yes, I did.
Intentionally, I would imagine.
I can't trust him. I get that Minnesota's secondary is terrible, and they're having their struggles. Maybe, I mean, like Matt Ryan to me is just not. He's just not trustworthy. I mean, you can go for it. You could stack them if you want. You want to go Matt Ryan with Pittman and I don't know Paris Campbell.
Pierce, yeah.
By all means, go ahead, do it. Like that's the thing is that for a GPP tournament lineup, everybody's available. Tua's available. Nobody's going to play Tua, so he's like super contrarian. Anybody's playable on a 3-game slate. Yeah. I'm just telling you my preference for who I like.
Okay. I actually like Matt Ryan a little bit more than you do here. Recent games against Philly defense, Pittsburgh defense, Dallas defense, right? Some really tough matchups for Ryan there. But we saw him against Vegas, bad defense, throw for 22 fantasy points at 5K. And the last 3 quarterbacks to run up against the Minnesota Vikings have been Jared Goff, Mike White, and Mac Jones. And Mac Jones threw for 380, White threw for 360, Goff threw for 340. So, some not exactly, Patrick Mahomes out there going up against Minnesota, and they're just throwing all over them. So I do think, that there's a potential here for Ryan. The Minnesota pass rush isn't that great. We know the secondary is bad here. They're going to be gearing up to stop Jonathan Taylor. So, if Campbell, Pearson, and Pittman are in good spots here, again, you're right. It's a 3-game slate. Anybody's in play in GBPs, but I think there is definitely a higher opportunity for Ryan to be successful this week than the last 3 weeks, just sort of given the matchup for him.
So if you were, let's say you're doing a 3-game playbook here, who you can't list all 6 quarterbacks here. So who would be your top 4?
Yeah, Allen, Cousins, and Ryan would be the 3 that I would build lineups around.
Allen, Cousins, no interest in Deshaun. Interesting.
Not really for me. Again, I understand like he looked better last week than he did the first week, but he still didn't look good, right? And there's still some rust. I still think the Baltimore deep pass rush, like you mentioned, is pretty solid there. It feels like the identity for Cleveland still is to try to run the football a little bit. So I could be wrong, right? This is his his first home game? Yeah, his first home game as a member of the Cleveland Browns. So maybe there's a little bit of a narrative behind there, but I don't know. I haven't really been overly impressed quite yet with him. So I'll take Cousins with the better matchup because of the injuries in the secondary, like you said, and the fact that he's got Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, and Thielen, and then Matt Ryan's my spend down there. So there I'm going.
Cool.
Running backs. Chubb, Taylor, Cook, your top 3 guys. Dalvin at $6,900 is very inexpensive. Again, I think we're getting these pricing because it's only a 3-game slate. If this was a 10-gamer, these guys would be like 8K. So we're taking a little bit of advantage of the discounts here at running back. This is a position where I think it's going to be pretty obvious. Like everybody's going to play J.K. Dobbins. You're going to just throw him in your lineup. Probably going to be the highest rostered running back of the group. And then you got to figure out where you're going next with this position because do you have another running back spot? Maybe you have a flex spot to fill as well, Howard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Cook in this matchup. I love Jonathan Taylor in this matchup. Yeah, you could go with Dobbins. Have you seen that picture of him running with like that the way his knee looks?
Yeah, the little gallop that he had there, but he still ran.
Oh, I know, but the question is he's even saying that he's not at 100%. He had 15 carries for 120 yards. Do we think maybe we might, and because it's you want to run between the tackles? Do we see maybe a little bit more Gus Edwards?
So I think you'll see the same breakdown as we've always seen with Dobbins and Edwards. Like again, last week was it like 52% for Dobbins and it was like 40% for Edwards. Like that's always kind of been their snap share breakdown. So I think both are going to get the opportunities to carry the football. Gus Edwards has looked good when given the opportunity to run the football. He's a guy that for his career averages over 5 yards a carry. This year he's at 4.2, but he's just kind of getting his legs under them. I think both are in play, but the fact that Dobbins is the lead back, the fact that, he had the touchdown, they're going to utilize him in red zone. I think you're going to see a lot more people go to Dobbins. I think on a 3-game slate, you could probably play both of them, right? We talked about this with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott last week, and both came through. With Tyler Huntley at quarterback, knowing you want to run the football against Cleveland, and they're 5,205K, like, if they're both going to get 10, 12 carries, then maybe both are in play here, and you spend up at wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can definitely do that. I mean, I like throwing Edwards in there on his own as like if like I'm playing on FanDuel and I throw him in there as the flex play.
Yeah.
Like I could definitely do that. I'd be less inclined to do it. I mean, if I did it on DraftKings, then I would play both of them, but then I wouldn't be able to play. I wouldn't play another running back. Like you're not gonna on a full point PPR. You're not going to throw Dalvin Cook or Jonathan Taylor really into your flex spot,
right?
And hope that you're going to get some work there. So, interesting. Definitely an interesting twist there. I don't have much interest in Raheem Mostert in this one here. Devin Singletary. I mean, the Singletary Cook back and forth. Like, I mean, that's another thing that kind of gums up this slate. It's kind of why I like to. Lock in one of the guys from that early game, that Taylor or Cook, and then kind of worry about my RB2 after I deal with who my wide receivers are going to be.
Yeah, the one thing with James Cook, and we talked about this on the last podcast, was our guy Andrew Cooper was at that Patriots Buffalo Bills game, and he said that Singletary got banged up a little bit in that one. He was on the sidelines, and that's where Cook got a lot of that extra work. And then last week, obviously, Singletary was healthy. Cook didn't get the same amount of snap share. The issue was that Josh Allen did all the running, right? Like, Singletary only got like 8 carries in that game. If the weather is as bad, though, right? Like, this was the first time pretty much since week 9 that he didn't have double-digit carries for Singletary. If the weather is going to be bad, though, I do think that there's some viability for using Singletary here. He's got the rushing touchdowns. He's already got 5 on the year. If we're looking at snow and bad conditions and cold, like they may lean on Singletary a little bit more. I think a lot of people will be of your mindset. They probably won't utilize him. So if you in a 3-game slate where a lot of these guys are going to be 30, 40, 50% owned, if you get Singletary at like 15% rostered, if you're going to make a couple lineups, like there's your contrarian play there. And Mostert, if there's no Jeff Wilson, I don't mind, again, looking to Mostert here. Because, again, the same reasoning that Singletary, like if they can only run the football because it's too cold or windy or snowy, from a pure volume standpoint, Mostert could be a guy that still has some impact. But, again, more of a contrarian play, in this low tier. Because I think everybody's going to be playing the Baltimore running backs because they see that, 30th green symbol in their face and they see what Dobbins did last week, and they're just going to plug him in.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree. Wide receivers here from this slate. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is a must.
Yep.
I'll just go with the ones who I liked. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman going up against this Minnesota secondary. We talked about him, possibly even Paris Campbell as being a legit option. From Cleveland, I do like both Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. I will give the edge, actually, believe it or not, to DPJ. I think that he's, you're also dealing, Amari Cooper's a little bit banged up, but, if you're talking about just like straight coverage numbers, I think Peoples-Jones has that better angle.
He's on pace for a 1,000-yard season this year, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I know. So I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. From the Ravens, based on what I've done as far as like research goes, it kind of, I kind of want to look more towards like Devin Duvernay, working as like the Z receiver and the slot receiver than I do DeMarcus Robinson. I mean, the targets over the last couple of weeks have been a little, but I mean, also you kind of have to look in the fact that Huntley, got knocked out of the game last week and they're down at their 3rd string. So recent target numbers are a little on the tough side there. So I'm kind of looking more for like, coverage and who's still playing, the snaps that we need for that. So, listen, Duvernay's a nice little pay down. Deshaun Jackson, if you're throwing darts against Denzel Ward, is probably going to be a nice favorable one. I love Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I like Isaiah McKenzie, but I love Stephon Diggs. And then Miami, I'll tell you what. I think that, if the Dolphins want to neutralize the Bills pass rush, and they want to, make up for the fact that Terran Armstead's probably going to miss this game and Austin Jackson is out. I feel like the short passing game, like the really quick short ones, like that Tom Brady, like, he gets the ball and he immediately dishes it off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like Miami kind of looks like they should be doing that with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Let them run with the ball in their hands. Let them utilize their speed, try and make the defense miss, because they know which direction they're running.
Yeah.
The defenders don't. So might as well just give them the ball immediately and let them work the magic. I think so. So I think, with a lot of people off of Tua in Miami, I think you'll actually get Tyreek for lower than expected ownership.
Oh, for sure. Because of the weather, again, people are going to be worried about it. Jefferson's inside against Indy, and Diggs is $900 cheaper. Like, a lot of people will just go to those two guys as your top options. And I'm with you there. If the weather's going to be bad, like they say, you're not going to – Tyreek won't be as fast trying to run downfield in snow. So you're going to got to get him in these short routes and see how they go. Again, a lot of these guys are going to be in play. Adam Thielen, a good game last week. We know where he is in the red zone, generally gets targeted there. 2 touchdowns now in the last 3 weeks for Adam Thielen. So some good options at wide receiver for sure. Decent value with Alec Pierce being 3,900. 8 targets for him last week against Dallas. Had the touchdown, and we saw earlier this year he and Ryan really had a strong connection. Alec Pierce's mid-season slump came in those games with Sam Ehlinger. So now that Matt Ryan's back, at least last week he had found some success. Tight end position here. Are you spending up for Andrews? At $5,700 against Cleveland.
Am I spending up for Andrews? It's not my first choice.
Okay.
It's not my first choice. I mean, listen, I like the matchup, and I think that Huntley's going to lean on Andrews. I think that I'd probably, because I want to spend up at wide receiver so much, I'm probably going to try a cheaper alternative. Sure. I think that Andrews is in a great spot, but, for the same token, I think Knox is in a great spot. I think Hawkinson is in a great spot. Njoku has a really nice situation for himself too. So, I mean, listen, if I'm going to be a multi-lineup guy, then I'm going to want to make sure that I get some shares of Andrews, but he's not my top priority.
Right. No, I'm in a full agreement with you. And I think a lot of people kind of are in your same mindset. You'll play Dawson Knox if you think it's gonna be snowy, right? He's got those sort of intermediate routes, those short, like find the open space, turn around and let Josh Allen hit you. Plus, he has some red zone upside. David Njoku last week, 7 for 59 and a touchdown. I think what's lost on that is if you just look at the box score, you're like, all right, 9 targets, 7 catches, and a score looks really good. A lot of that came on one drive. He had a drive there where he had 3 or 4 catches and the touchdown occurred. So. For most of that game, he was kind of useless, and then all of a sudden, there was an entire drive where Watson was just throwing him the football. So, good to see if he can kind of keep that consistency going there. And obviously, Hawkinson, I think, is probably the safest of the entire group. Getting the target volume since going there. The Colts, again, secondary is a little bit beat up here. Big fan of the top 4. And I don't really think you need to take shots at anybody else. Like Gesicki, Granson,
nope,
Durham Smythe. Nope. If you think you're going to slip through and get a Durham Smythe touchdown,
right? I mean, that's the funny thing about this slate is I think that obviously there's going to be a dart throw that finds its way into the mainstream. Yeah. But
it was like Isaiah McKenzie on Thanksgiving. Nobody played Isaiah McKenzie. He goes off and has that monster day against Detroit.
I did.
No, yeah, you had saying dart throws. You have to make the darts throw to make those work on those big slates because everybody's just going for the chalk names. So
that's why I think what's his face, Deshaun Jackson might be an intriguing
a downfield catch. 2 targets.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right, defenses here. Not many options to pick from. I think I don't really know. I guess the snow game is where people could go. If the weather's going to be that bad, you think the total is going to be low, you play Buffalo. But, I mean, I don't really want to play the Vikings defense. And, Browns haven't been great, but I guess, at least, Huntley isn't anything special, but they're just going to run on them. Like, I don't know where to go with defense here. It could just be like spend down with Buffalo and hope that they don't kill you, or something like that. Like, I don't really know where to go with defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the Ravens are probably my top defense here.
Okay.
Again, it's not a great matchup, per se, but I mean, I don't think any of these games, we're not looking at any of these games being like, oh man, they're going to hold these guys to, maybe a touchdown and that's it.
Right.
I don't think we're going to see any of that. So I'm not really worried about that. So where I look for are possible turnovers, potential, fumbles and interceptions. So that's why I think that Baltimore is in a really good spot for that.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, as crappy as Minnesota's defense is, they do a nice job here with the turnover battle. And, Matt Ryan is, he all right, but he ain't great. Sure. But, I think I'd probably look at I'll look at the Ravens and I'll look at the Bills as probably the two main ones to lean on.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. All right, so that is our free preview. Again, we're going to have the free playbook for Saturday's slate. Howard will have the playbook out for you. Example lineups too, Howard, I would imagine?
Yeah, I'm going to do example lineups on Saturday morning. The first game starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. So by noon, I will have example lineups posted for everyone. Again, it's GPP only, no cash lineups. So don't get, super out of, bent out of shape that I didn't post any cash lineups. This is just about, just having some fun, enjoying this 3-game slate, free playbook out on Friday, games on Saturday. Enjoy. The real meat and potatoes, well, let's talk Sunday then, John.
Yeah, we'll flip it over. Sunday, 10 games. A lot of stories. So a lot of news stories coming out here. Obviously, your New York Jets going back to Zach Wilson with Mike White not being cleared. Kyler Murray obviously lost for the season last week. So we got Colt McCoy on this slate here. Russell Wilson's dealing with his concussion protocol. Kenny Pickett is doubtful. There's a quarterback change in Atlanta now with Desmond Ridder making his debut here. So the quarterback position is kind of interesting because I did the quarterback coach again this week, and as I've been done all season, I didn't really like any of the value or the mid-tier. It was just like spend up a quarterback this week. I don't like the matchups for the value. Didn't really like a lot of the pricing for all of these guys here. Mike White was like my favorite value quarterback, and now he's not even on the slate. I don't know. It's a tough go here.
It's so funny too, because I said the other day on the Fantasy Alarm show, I said, imagine this. Let me just set the stage for you here. Because Jim was like, he's like super gung-ho on Mike White. And obviously Detroit's defense, not that great. So I said to him, I was like, imagine this though, Jim, because here we are, Detroit up 17-3. It's late in the first half. Mike White takes a shot from Aiden Hutchinson. He's slow to get up. His ribs are bothering him. The Jets punt the ball. The half ends. But then for the start of the second half, Jets down 17-3. Oh, look who comes trotting out to start the second half, to a chorus of both boos and cheers with a little splash of hope in there. And it's Zach Wilson who leads the Jets to a come from behind win. And then suddenly all is forgiven with Zach Wilson and we can all move on. The Mike White thing was nice at the time, but it was never going to last. And now here we are. We didn't even get to the first half. We didn't even get to that game yet.
He got killed in that game against Buffalo. They were just some of those shots.
Oh, that was brutal, dude. That was so brutal.
Kill shot spears that he was taking there. Legal hits. It's just like right up the middle. Was it Milano or Poyer? Just absolutely like put his guts inside out on him there.
The Milano hit was worse than the Poyer hit.
Yeah, definitely. Like just I felt bad for the guy, and he knew listen, I'm a backup quarterback in this league. Like, if I don't get up here, I may not play again, right? That guy was out there for his life, trying to play through whatever he's dealing with. The fact that he's not cleared for contact, clearly there's some sort of internal bruising, I have to assume, or some fractured ribs. going on there that just hasn't
like a
haven't been
hemorrhaging
reported.
gallbladder.
Yeah, right. Like something's going on there. So, anyways, as I mentioned, the top of the quarterback positions where I'm going this week. If you wanna take some shots on like a Goff because of the way that offense has been going, I think you can, but I don't like anything else other than the top guys. Hurts on the road against Chicago, Mahomes against Houston, Herbert against Tennessee, and like that's basically where I'm drawing my line this week. I'm picking one of those three, and I'm moving on to the next position.
I kind of like that, man. I do as well. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss Justin Fields just because I know that Philly's run defense is just really still not that good. So I'm not going to completely dismiss him, but, you know.
My worry with Fields is that they practice against Jalen Hurts every day.
They do practice against Jalen Hurts every day. That is true.
Does the same thing.
That is definitely
true. They can't be surprised by what Chicago's going to go out there. The man who does it better, or maybe not the knock on Fields, but you know, Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields are 1-2 in mobile quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So
no love for Joe Burrow?
Not against Tampa on the road. I'm not really there.
Okay.
I know what Brock Purdy just did, and that's fine and all, but contrarian play, because I think most people are going to see $7,200 Justin Herbert at home against Tennessee after what Trevor Lawrence just did to the Tennessee Titans, and they're just going to lock him in. Mike Williams is back. Keenan Allen's healthy. Austin Eckler. They're just going to lock in Justin Herbert into their tournament lineups this week. So I think a good pivot is going to be Joe Burrow. You know, again with Chase and assuming Higgins is going to be okay because he's got the hamstring and Boyd's got the dislocated finger. Like if he's got the weapons with him, I think we always know that there's a possibility for Joe Burrow to go out there and break the slate. It was one of the reasons why I had him in my contrarian corner. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago against Kansas City. I said, you need a guy that can go out there, or it was Pittsburgh rather, week 11. I was like, you need a guy that has the opportunity to go out there and be the highest scoring quarterback every week. Joe Burrow has that in his bag, right? Like he's a guy that can go out there, throw 3-4 touchdowns, throw for 350 yards, and lead the week in scoring. When you're trying to look for a contrarian play, and Burrow can be that guy. And I think he has an opportunity to be that guy again. I just kind of like the other one. So if you're making a contrarian lineup, great. If you're playing cash games this week or tournaments, I think Herbert's going to be the higher rostered guy there. And then you have Mahomes and Hurts at the top of the tier here. Again, we know what Jalen Hurts has done both with his arms and his legs. And then Mahomes, I wonder if people shy off Mahomes this week because you just run against Houston. Somebody tweeted out today that like Houston's only allowed 11 passing touchdowns this week, and like to be where using Patrick Mahomes because of it. They're not allowing 11 passing touchdowns because they're a good defense. It's just they're so bad against the run.
They're so bad against the run.
That teams just run the football, but like the Chiefs' identity is to throw the football. I don't see all of a sudden Mahomes throwing 20 times because Pacheco gets 35 carries here. I can still see Mahomes going 250 and 3 scores and turning it over to Pacheco in the second half if they go that way. So I'm not shying off Mahomes because the Houston Texans have the number 1 ranked defense against fantasy quarterbacks. It's like, yeah, because most teams run the football, right? Like Mahomes doesn't. He throws 40 times no matter the situation. So that's my breakdown on the quarterbacks, Howard.
Hitting the nail right on the head, dude. I am 100% on board with you with paying up for a QB. Hurts, Mahomes, Herbert. I like that very much. I'm not going to take a shot with Dak Prescott because, why wouldn't you just, keep running Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott at a weak run defense? I'm not going to use Trevor Lawrence against a tough Dallas defense. And then when you start looking for your pay downs even beyond that, no. I mean, I might, for shits and giggles, might throw in a Zach Wilson lineup. But that's not something I would even remotely think about in cash.
Right.
Or anything like that. Same with like Brett Ripien. I think Brett Ripien's in a great spot. But it's freaking Brett Ripien. Why am I going to, as great of a pay down, as a discount it is, I'll take the short things and Hurts, Mahomes, and Herbert and be perfectly fine. So yeah. Let's move it over to the running backs then, because this is a much different situation right now. Austin Eckler against Tennessee. That's actually kind of a tough matchup for him. Josh Jacobs, I'm not worried about his finger, but it's a tough matchup against New England.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry, the chalk against the Chargers. I mean,
possibly
horrible run defense, one of the worst. How do you not go Derrick Henry?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people will go with Henry against the Chargers, soft run defense. Tennessee's path to winning this game is to run the football and keep the Chargers offense off the field. So, if Henry can get going, great for them. We all should have seen the writing on the wall in that matchup against Jacksonville. And we talked about it a little bit, right? Like, he had some tough matchups the previous 2 weeks, Cincy, Philly. He historically just tortures Jacksonville, and he did it again. 17 for 121 in a score. Love the 5 targets, continues to get involved in the passing game here. So I'm with you. I think a lot of people go there. A lot of people will go with the Dallas running backs once again. Elliott at 62, Pollard at 71 on DraftKings, a big difference in price. But again, I think both have their, you can play both, right? Elliott, we know, still gets red zone work. And you can get down there. Pollard will get more of the passing game and the change of pace, and he gets his own series, as well. So, like, he's not ever shut out of the offense. So if you think Pollard's the more explosive player, which he largely is, and he's worthy of the $7,100, you can utilize him there. I also think Miles Sanders is in a good space this week, 6,500 against the Bears.
Miles Sanders is in a fantastic spot. I was all in on him last week. I actually got some pushback from people about that. I was like, how are you pushing back on a situation where, I get it. It's, Jalen Hurts is there and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, but, Miles Sanders still he's averaging like 17 carries per game.
Right.
So, I mean, if he's getting that kind of volume and he's in a super soft matchup here, especially against Chicago, this is just like last week against the Giants. Like, why wouldn't you utilize Miles Sanders? So I'm good with that. You hopped right over Alvin Kamara. How come?
I mean, why are the Saints hopping right over Alvin Kamara? Right? Like, that's, my hope is that with Mark Ingram going down, that Alvin Kamara's utilization becomes more prevalent. Like, I don't know. Like, why are they not using this man? I get tough matchups, right? Tampa Bay, San Francisco, the Rams, tough spots for him. But 3 targets, why? At the very least, you should be throwing to him. It is a great price. It's the second cheapest he's been all season. Tournaments, sure, because Atlanta's again not a very good team here. Week 1 though, he didn't do anything week 1 against them. 7 fantasy points, 8 fantasy points. So I don't know. I need him in season long. I got him in a playoff team, so I'm hoping he comes through, but I'm just not.
Doesn't this don't you have reminiscent thoughts of a 6 touchdown game from 2 years ago? Just kind of looking back, and I just for tournaments only. Obviously, This is tournament only, but. The matchup itself, you want to look at it on paper or anything like that. I have him in the watch list. I have him as the cover guy of the watch list because I do think that this matchup is going to be a smash spot for him, and I do think that they're going to lean on him. I know they brought in Eno Benjamin now that Ingram's gone, but this is just we've looked at this situation here for the Saints. It's a home game for them. It's kind of a lost season for them. And I feel like they kind of need to focus and feature Kamara this week. I do. And I feel like he has the chance to explode against Atlanta.
Do you have draft percentage on him right now?
I don't. Let me go to our
there. I'm curious. I think he'll be super contrarian this week.
I hope he's super contrarian. I really hope he's super contrarian. That would make my day. I'll look up on DraftKings running backs, and Kamara's the 5th highest guy. They're saying 13.72%.
Yeah, that seems. I don't know. I'd be surprised if he's higher than 10%. I would be.
Let me see. Let me go over to our friends over at FTN.
Yeah.
And let's look at their data.
Because I think a lot of people will play Pacheco at 59 this week. Obviously.
Yes, they will. 100%.
Right? Again, we like Sanders. Elliott's at 62 against Jacksonville. Connor is right above Kamara with McCoy. They're going to give him the ball 25 times probably in that game. So I'd be interested to see if Kamara really is that highly rostered.
FTN has him projected right now at 21.53%.
So
second highest.
So pretty wide margin. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't know. Again, I get the price point, and projection models probably have him projecting up pretty well. I don't know if I'm going to follow that chalk if that's the case. I'd rather pivot to whomever is around him that is lower rostered. So
I gotcha.
So good. If he works out, great. I don't think I'm going to get there. But Pacheco at 59, as I mentioned, a lot of people will play. If Damian Harris ends up being active with no Ramondre Stevenson, I think that's an interesting spot.
I think that's a great spot.
Limited practices, back-to-back days for him, so something to watch going into Sunday here. But $5,800. We know what the Patriots' running game looks like. If he's the guy that's going to be the workhorse running back, he's had he had a stretch of 3 straight games with a touchdown. He eventually just lost his job. I mean, Stevenson's just been the better back. I mean, that's just what it is, right? So. I don't think that with a healthy Damian Harris or an active Damian Harris, they would still utilize like Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong, but I'm sure one of them would get some carries, but I think the lead back in this offense would still be Damian Harris. So, $5,800 for him there. Let's talk about the Detroit situation because we were both wrong last week. One of us, I guess, a little bit more than the other, possibly. I don't even really know.
I don't know, man. Justin Jackson's the only one who came through, so I think we were both wrong.
Right? Swift had more points. He had less carries. They all played the same snap share, basically. Out of nowhere, for the first time all season, Dan Campbell's like, nope, 36% for Swift, 37% for Williams, 33% for Justin Jackson. We're like, what in the world? Where did Justin Jackson come from? So... I mean, now they're just unusable, right? You can't even like say like, well, Jamal Williams in the red zone because Justin Jackson got the rushing touchdown.
It's a crap matchup on top of that, So it's a crap matchup, and you don't know who's getting the touches here. That's that immediately keeps me off of Swift and Williams.
Yeah, Swift is going to come out and play 75% of the snaps this week, and really just. Infuriate everybody in the DFS community. So,
or he's not.
Yeah. So can't play him. I think. Would you play Najee Harris against Carolina?
I don't know. Probably not. Okay. Especially if you're dealing with like Trubisky and Mason Rudolph under center. Those are the two guys who have been splitting the first team reps. I don't think that Kenny Pickett's going to get. I just don't think that Kenny Pickett's going to come back for this game.
I agree.
I mean, it's an okay play at 5,700. Carolina's defense has actually been a little bit better than a lot of people are giving them credit for right now. Yeah. So I don't hate that. No, I'm kind of looking down. I was looking at Deonta Foreman until last week when Chuba Hubbard started getting all the work and Raheem Blackshear started at, and it started to become a 3-headed monster, and that disappointed me. Zonovan Knight against Detroit. I feel like that's the play. Like Zonovan Knight for 5,300 or Latavius Murray at 5,100. That's probably where I'm paying down at running back.
Yeah. Someone threw out some numbers on Detroit recent defense against running backs. Apparently it's been pretty decent. And obviously, you look at DraftKings, they've allowed the 9th fewest points to the running back position, but I guess they haven't allowed like a running back over 70 yards now for like a couple of weeks or something like that. So,
well, I think one thing that we also need to remember, and I think there are a lot of people who are overlooking this. Detroit just came off of 3 straight home games. Mm-hmm. No weather, no issues. Jared Goff, nice and comfortable, feeling good. He's throwing the ball. And I feel like we're looking at Detroit and we're not getting that full story. Yeah. Over the last 3 weeks, they've definitely looked a lot better, but take them out of their beds, take them out of their dome, and then kind of, tell me what happens.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. The Deonta Foreman Chuba Hubbard thing is interesting. I actually don't mind either. Again, it's Chuba Hubbard scored Foreman had 2 cracks from the 3, didn't get in. It was 3rd down. They brought Chuba Hubbard in, and then they still ran a draw play with him, and he got the touchdown there. But Foreman still got 21 carries in this game. Chuba got 14 carries for Chuba. He had 17 carries in week 12 before their bye. So I think both running backs are just their identity here at Carolina now is just to run the football. You have almost like an Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard light sort of style of play going on here. They're not relying on Sam Darnold to throw back 30 times. The Blackshear thing was certainly interesting. He didn't get a ton of carries. I think he just got 4 carries. He just happened to get a touchdown, which is kind of annoying late in that game. So I'm not really
yes, it is.
Not really worried about him breaking up the pack, but I don't mind using either just from their involvement there. Chuba still gets the 3rd down work. Foreman's still the lead running back. So if you think Carolina gets into the red zone, like they're gonna give the football to the running backs there. So maybe a better dart throw for Chuba than Foreman, given the other backs that are around them. What do you think about Jerick McKinnon here?
Real tough spot here because I think a lot of people are in on Jerick McKinnon, but I feel like McKinnon is great to use in a competitive game when Patrick Mahomes is going to dump passes off to his running back. And, listen, they have some design screens there as well. I like the play. I don't love the play just because I worry that, with Mahomes wanting to throw the way he wants to throw and Pacheco probably just busting it up the gut there against Houston, I just don't know if McKinnon's usage is going to be as high this week as a lot of people look for.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they got out to that big lead. He obviously had that, fluky 56-yard touchdown catch, too. Mahomes basically running out of bounds, and he realizes McKinnon's there, and just does, a sidearm, underarm flip to him, and he takes it to the house. But
did you see Chris Collinsworth beat off while that was happening? It was amazing.
No, I missed the call. Saw the highlight. But yeah, again, he's just kind of an explosive player for them, and he does get a decent snap share. So contrarian play off Pacheco there at 52, and again, I don't mind Hubbard at 49. Anybody else here for you?
Nope.
Okay. Why? No,
it's
Rex
pretty
Burkhead?
gross.
No Rex Burkhead at 46.
I hate you so much for even saying his name.
All right, we don't need to.
Ronald Jones going to be a sleeper in Kansas City this week.
Yeah, well, possibly. Wide receivers.
Anyway.
Wide receivers. Adams against New England. Probably again, Bill Belichick generally does a good job against guys. Justin Jefferson ate him apart, but shut down DeAndre Hopkins last week. Do you think they got a beat on Devontae Adams here?
I think there could be a beat here on them. I definitely think that, Adams not my favorite. I mean, listen, I like Jamar Chase, although I liked Jamar Chase when Tampa's safeties were both banged up and injured. But, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't necessarily – I want to pay up for receivers, but I don't want to pay up for the receivers. I'll go – A.J. Brown is obviously an intriguing one because – but as a tournament play, not as a cash game guy, because he doesn't see enough targets, So I kind of say that, for tournaments, Chase, AJ Brown, I'm living in that area there. I'll look to Amon-Ra, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen in that range. Wow, Keenan Allen's only 6,800.
Yeah, no. Again,
holy shit! Yeah, do we even need to pay up for an elite wideout?
No. So this is what I was saying, right? You put Herbert in your lineup, and Keenan Allen 68, Mike Williams is 63. You don't need to do anything else. $7,200 Herbert, 68 Keenan Allen, 63 Mike Williams.
Holy shit!
You throw Chigakonkwo and, Derrick Henry on the way back. And, there's your game stack that the whole world's going to play. So,
which doesn't do us any good in GPP tournaments, because if everybody's doing it, then we need to
you'd be different elsewhere.
Deviate.
You don't want to miss the 30 points that Mike Williams puts up either, right? So
no, you definitely don't.
Yeah,
you definitely don't.
So you just got to find the spot to be different and hope that guy is the one that hits off. But both Chargers guys very much in play here. Kirk could be your contrarian guy. We talk a lot about Dallas and their tendencies to ball hawk, and sometimes they miss and big plays happen. The fact that Dallas is on the road here too maybe helps Jacksonville out a little bit. I don't like
the key here. Yep. The key here is actually because Christian Kirk plays the slot the majority of his time.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he's and Dallas lost Jordan Lewis last week, which is why you saw Chris Moore destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
And so Christian Kirk goes into that spot. Now I know that they brought somebody else in to help back up as a slot corner, but yeah, I think Kirk is a great play here because of Dallas's struggles with with Jordan Lewis being hurt.
Yeah, and the fact that look who he's priced around, right? Allen, Chris Godwin at $6,700 is a good price for him, regardless of what you think of Tampa Bay's offense right now. Godwin's the train that's moving in there. And then again, below them, you got Olave, you got Mike Williams, both going to be pretty appealing options here. Garrett Wilson, I think, was going to be super chalky. I wonder if people move off of him now because of Zach Wilson, and then that maybe makes Garrett Wilson still a better play.
I hope so. I'm looking at him.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It will certainly be because Wilson had some okay games with Zach, so not impossible to see him still thrive regardless of who the quarterback's going to be there in New York.
I like Juju at 58.
Okay.
I think he's got the potential. I mean, listen, I'm hearing we might have Mecole Hardman back on the field too, which in my opinion would be fantastic for Mahomes, because we saw Juju and Mecole Hardman, who were eventually like his favorites outside of Kelsey. Yeah. So I think what we've seen a lot with Kansas City right now is teams with the injuries to the wide receiver position that the Chiefs have been dealing with, teams are just massively focused on Kelsey. They're looking to take him out. And so I think that if you have Juju and Mecole Hardman out there, and MVS for that same token, I think it suddenly frees things up a little bit more for Kelsey, but it also kind of enables Mahomes to pass it around a little bit. And, listen, naked Mahomes in DFS, I am all in for that.
Yep, I'm with you there. We talked the George Pickens squeaky wheel. Only 3 catches, 3 targets, did have 78 yards last week. Any interest here against Carolina? 5K?
Some. I mean, I think that, if you're looking for price points and stuff like that, and you're looking around 5K, Pickens obviously leads the charge there. He's going to deal with J.C. Horn, which is not the softest of matchups, right. But when you're looking at, he's probably at the high end of these bargain wideouts. If you're going to go Pickens, if Jacoby Myers is on the field, I want to use him in PPR.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. There's just not a lot of great pay downs here either.
Oh, there's not a ton. Would you go back to Judy at all?
I would consider it. I actually, and I posed this question yesterday. I'm like, is Brett Rypien that far off from Russell Wilson at this point?
Not really.
I mean, it's a crappy offense. It's a shitty scheme. If Cortland Sutton's banged up still, like, why wouldn't you look to Judy? Rypien's going to have to pass it somewhere, and Arizona's pass coverage, not great.
No. Whenever the Patriots decided to throw down field last week, they were able to put up some numbers there. So I'm with you. DJ Chark still very underpriced. Does he get the sauce treatment, or does Amon-Ra get the sauce treatment?
I mean, I feel like you have to give Amon-Ra the sauce treatment, but he works out of the slot so much that I don't know if they're going to move Sauce over there.
Right.
Like that's going to be interesting to see.
Because 4,500 for a guy that's given you touchdowns in 2 of the 3, and then 98, 94 yards the last 2 weeks is interesting there.
And DJ Reed is a rock solid corner also. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that kind of unnerves me a little bit. It's not a great matchup here, and are we worried about Goff outdoors on the road?
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie.
No, I agree with you. Not a great spot. Just a price point for Chark given his recent production. Interesting. Does everybody run back with Chris Moore?
I hope so, because we're going to run it back with Philip Dorsett.
Okay. Jameson Williams.
I mean, if you look at the matchups, you look at the coverage stuff, you're going to see a lot of what you call it. You're going to see L'Jarius Sneed is going to end up working the slot on Chris Moore.
Okay.
And L'Jarius Sneed is one of the best cover guys in the league right now. So if that's going to be where Chris Moore is dealing with, then I might be more inclined to just saying, you know what, let's just roll back to Dorsett. He's still under 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hate that. I don't hate Elijah Moore either.
Okay, interesting. So Jack Wilson didn't really throw to Elijah Moore at all, but maybe they force him into the spots there. Briefly mentioned Jameson Williams. He did play more snaps last week than he did week one. Slightly.
He did.
Slightly more snaps, so maybe he'll play slightly more snaps again this week. He was wide open for that touchdown. It was nothing that he did. Absolutely nothing that he did. He just ran downfield, and the Vikings are just like forgot he existed and caught the touchdown there. Westbrook Akini had 8 targets. Didn't do much with them, but did score a touchdown. Any interest in Nick Westbrook Akini?
I mean, if we're looking for massive pay downs here, then I mean, again, dart throws are dart throws. You can look to Westbrook Akine as a possibility.
Jarvis Landry had the big week one against Atlanta, then got hurt and really hasn't done much since. But $3,800 for Jarvis Landry. He's playing the snaps.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's definitely a possibility there as well. I think, like I said, man, once you're there's nobody down here in this pricing range that I can look at and say for certain I absolutely would play this guy, because I feel like with what we've talked about here so far, as far as this slate goes, the 6,800 seems to be the top priced guy that we need to go for. That I don't necessarily know if we really need to go all the way down to a player like this.
I got 2 guys for you.
Ooh.
Just based off injury reports, because you mentioned Jacoby Myers earlier, not at practice. Devontae Parker not at practice. So their 2 starting wide receivers that are going to go into this game are going to be Nelson Aguilar, who had 10 targets, and Kendrick Bourne, who's at $3,100. So Bourne had 5 targets, caught all 5 passes last week. Nelson Aguilar had 10 targets in that game. Classic Aguilar game, dropped 3 passes, but still, they throw a lot of these quick screens. So from a PPR perspective, Aguilar catches a bunch of 1-yard, 3-yard passes for PPR points. I mean, gave you 8 fantasy points. Bourne gave you 9. Those are, again, likely you're starting 2 wide receivers for New England this week against the Raiders.
And you left off the best part about Nelson Aguilar.
Revenge?
Yeah, he had his best season as a wide receiver, almost 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns tied the career best, but the 896 yards was his best season for the Raiders in 2020, and they were like, "All right, see you later, buddy. Thanks so much."
Yep. The Bourne one is the one I really like because he and Mac Jones last year, they were your peanut butter and jelly. Kendrick Bourne had his best season. They talk a lot about wishing, Mac Jones was the one kind of advocating for Bourne to play more earlier this season. It came out, when we talked about Robert Kraft coming down, wondering why, Bourne wasn't on the field. It was because, he and Mac Jones had that really good chemistry together. Bourne last week plays the most snaps basically of the year, 42 of 59, and he gets 5 targets. So at $3,100, I'm big on Kendrick Bourne this week against the Raiders. Assuming, of course, Parker, Myers both out, which they're treading like that's going to be the case here.
So you like Bourne more than you like Aguilar?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's where I'm going. Tight ends.
Cool.
Tight ends. Kelsey, $7,800.
Yep.
Your top
if you
price
can get him in, why not?
Top price guy there. Dallas Goedert was wouldn't confirm if he'll play or not. He was activated and he practiced. We don't know if he'll play. So $4,700.
I'm not ready to trust him yet. I'm not ready.
I like Dalton Schultz. Talked about him a lot. 4,400 bucks.
I do too.
You can get there. Chasing Evan Ingram at all?
I mean, listen, if you're paying down, see, that's the thing is that you look at this tight end position right now. Kelsey, yes. Schultz, yes. I don't really like Everett that much, especially when Keenan Allen is on the field because he steals a lot of that underneath work.
Yep.
Cole Kmet does interest me because I don't even know if Claypool's going to play. Cole Kmet could be like just, he could just get peppered with targets.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if you need to chase Evan Ingram. It's not a great matchup against Dallas. But like, that's the thing. I mean, I'm looking at the position here. And for me, I mean, you'll love it, man. Greg Dulcich or Chigakonkwo. Like that's where I'm living right now at the tight end spot.
Yeah. I think both of them are in play. Austin Hooper's still in play. Hooper got 5 targets, 68 yards. Give you double-digit fantasy points without scoring.
Hooper drives the boat, Chief.
Yep. Dolchik with the #1 matchup for tight ends this year.
I'm sorry. I have to pause this for a second. Do you know where that reference is?
Hooper drives the bus. Yeah, it's the Jaws reference.
Okay. Hey, you know what, dude? I don't even know if you've seen Jaws, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't think I've ever sat through the entire movie, but I've seen Jaws enough to piece it together. So
Hooper drives the boat, Chief.
Yep. I got that reference there. Yeah, Dolchik has the #1 matchup, 8 targets last week. Even Hunter Henry last week had 3 for 70 against the Cardinals. So
against Arizona, yeah.
You can go there. I also think you can go to Hunter Henry here. He was open. He's they hit those seam plays like it was Brady and Gronk all over again. It had me pulling my hair out why they don't run the play more. The Patriots play action seam to the tight end has been open for 20 years. For whatever reason, they just weren't utilizing it this year. Hopefully they saw something because they hit Henry on it twice for big plays. And the Raiders against tight ends have been a bit troublesome. So I don't mind Henry as a dart throw. Again, if Myers and Parker are both out, like Dolchik here, like Okonkwo, like Hooper, I don't really think you need to go elsewhere. Cade Otton did get the targets last week, but he splits the snaps because
John, don't force it. Don't force it, John. Right. If you don't have to force it, why would you?
I don't know, because he's an effective tight end. He's under 3K, so I would dart throw Cade Otton. He's not going to kill you.
Dart throw Cade Otton.
Not going to kill you at $2,900. He's not going to kill you, unless he gets to 0. Anyway, tight ends. Tight ends were done. Defenses. Well,
you gotta love the Chiefs.
Yeah, top price.
The Eagles are solid play.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Saints a lot against Desmond Ridder.
Sure.
I think that's something that you have to take a look at. Cardinals against Denver, maybe, but Denver against the Cardinals, yes.
Okay.
I like that.
Panthers were right below Arizona. I thought you were going to go there.
What's that?
The Panthers were right below Arizona. I thought you were going to go there.
I was getting there, man. I was getting there. I was on that game, but yeah, Panthers against Pittsburgh obviously is a great play. I actually don't even mind the Jets against Detroit as a possibility as well.
Okay.
I think the Broncos are probably as low as I would go at 2,700.
Okay. Would you play the Patriots defense?
Probably.
Okay.
If I had to.
They just keep getting touchdowns. 6 sacks last week.
They
do what the Patriots do, right? They get after the quarterback and they turn you over and somehow manage to score a touchdown. So
it's amazing, right? 2,800, man. Why wouldn't you?
Right. Plus you get Belichick versus McDaniels here, so another little narrative going on there. That's probably it. That's probably it for defenses for me.
Who's your favorite defense besides the Patriots?
Probably the Saints.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, I don't know if Ritter's going to throw enough for the Saints to get the sacks and turnovers. Right?
That is 100% accurate, I think. Like, Arthur Smith loves running the football.
Yeah. Carolina, I guess, obviously for pricing-wise is right there. It's pretty good.
Yep.
So yeah, well, I guess it depends on my roster build. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have the money to spend up at defense. So, do you have a lineup made?
I do.
Okay, what we got?
I do. Are you excited about it?
Yeah, I'm eager to hear.
Eager to hear. All right. Well, let me help you out here, John. At quarterback, Justin Herbert. At running back, I've got Derrick Henry and Zonovan Knight. I've got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, along with Kendrick Bourne. I've got a little splash of Greg Dulcich in there at tight end. My flex is Alvin Kamara, and I splash in the Broncos defense there.
That works. I don't hate it. $2,900 fits it in there. Yeah, it's a good lineup. Again, I would probably consider pivoting from Kamara again, but she's chalky, so like I guess you play him. The only adjustment I would maybe make there would be Kamara to Pacheco.
Sure, you could definitely do that.
And then,
I mean, I've got out of this lineup, yeah, I've got 7,000 left, so I could go Connor, Kamara, Godwin, Kirk, Miles Sanders. Yeah. I could go with here.
Here's my edit to your lineup.
Let's hear it.
Herbert, Henry kept it the same. Played Elliott overnight at 6,200. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Kendrick Bourne, Dulcich played Pacheco, Denver Broncos defense. So basically just swapped out your two running backs, Pacheco and Elliott, for Knight and Kamara.
I love it.
That's where I went.
I love it. All right, good. We're on the same page then.
Yep.
So you can do the playbook then for Sunday.
Next week I'm on the playbook.
Shit.
2 weeks I'm on the playbook. 2 weeks I'm on the playbook.
Damn it.
So.
All right. Well.
That's where we got.
Then I gotta get going and write this fucking Saturday playbook then, buddy.
All right. Well, we'll let everybody go. Week 15, we'll be in the Discord. Join us for the family show, family room on Sundays. Obviously Saturday will be there as well. Howard has the pregame show on Sunday on XM from 7 to 9 with Fensty. Coop and I are there 9 to 11 on BSN live stream. Check us all out. Hear Halleman and myself recapping the day on XM at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're all there, all day coverage on Sunday for your fantasy football needs. Howard and I will catch you guys next week.